So welcome to VNU Health. I'm Robert Greer. Tonight's episode is Outscienced, what the food industry does not want you to know. And we are pulling back the curtain, right behind you, Dr. Toker, on how products are engineered, how research and marketing shape what you reach for in the grocery aisle, and why your gut, yes, your gut, is where the battle for your behavior is actually beginning. So when we're talking about gut, we bring in our specialist, Dr. Anna Toker, board-certified colorectal surgeon and plain-spoken gutologist. You like that name, the gutologist?
I love that.
Who translates science into practical moves where people can use. So later in the show, we are going to talk about a protocol for super patches. So don't go away, because we're going to get there on how super patch is going to help outscience the science. And so
Awesome.
we will bring in Dr. Anna Toker. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Rob, thanks for asking me. Hopefully my background is a little bit different than normal, so I hope it's adequate for your audience.
Well, it works well because you have a curtain back there, and we're going to be pulling it back. You know, it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, right? And you find out that it's like a disappointment.
You know what? Yes, there's so much about our lives that you have no idea what's been manipulated, and we don't even realize it. It is shocking, actually. So good topic, Rob. I approve.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the science, right? And when we peel back and we're talking food sources, behavior, you know, these packaging jingles. I mean, they go deep, right, into you know, the packaging, the jingle that goes with it, and they're hitting the kids. They hit them young because they want to hook them for life and give them this you know, not so fair fighting chance. And that's why, you know, I thought it was appropriate to bring you in, because it all starts with the gut. Yeah. And so, you know, what are we eating? What's going on? And we're going to break it down tonight from, you know, the labs to, you know, just the studies, the independent study groups that they bring these people in. And I had an opportunity to listen to your entry to the Super Patch last year's conference, where you started your lecture, and when you had a little bit of a gap space of when you finished your medical school, and then you're thinking, hey, where am I going to be heading off to? Talk about some of that, what you were doing there at Tulane, and then you had some job opportunities. So I think that's where you're introduced to it.
It was I was at the LSU Medical Center, but I graduated with a bachelor's degree in chemistry and a bachelor's degree in biology. I stayed in college an extra year to meet my eligibility to play tennis. I played tennis in college. And I was going to graduate in December, but this tennis season is in the spring. So I picked up a second major. So my chemistry degree is what I got in December 1989. And I've got this semester where I'm playing tennis. I'm getting a bachelor's degree in biology. I want to go to medical school, but I wasn't 100% sure. Do I want an MD PhD or not? Who knows? But in the process, I was actually a very good student, and particularly a very good chemistry student. And I had won a national award from the American Chemical Society. This is the Chemists of America, for, you know, top student in America. This is an award. And it came with a little bit of a scholarship and a lot of hullabaloo. And people came to recruit me to work for them. And the best offer I got was from McCormick Spices. Now, I thought, how boring. Like, what would a chemist do at a spice company? This is 1989. To me, it didn't make any sense. It's like cinnamon is cinnamon. What are we doing with a chemist? You know what I'm saying? Like, it never occurred to me. But
that thing was happening in the back office.
No idea. No idea.
And you harvesting you grow it, you grind it.
It's
What do you need it for?
well, you need a chemist for. Like, I don't even understand. So I turned that down and decided, that doesn't sound like that sounds boring. I just can't do it. And so I decided to get an MD, PhD, and ultimately the PhD thing kind of bored me. So I wound up just going to medical school. After I got my master's degree, I just spent a year doing some research in neurosurgery, and then I wound up going to medical school. And because I'm a microbiologist by training, this my master's degree is in microbiology. That gravitated me towards intestinal surgery and whatnot, and this is kind of how I have an interest in the microbiome. Now, back to the chemists that are in the food industry. There is a lot of chemistry that goes into not just like the colors that they put in there to make the colors more cool, like how neon green can we make the neon green, or how sweet can you make it, or there's also a chemistry involved in the basic ingredients. I recently went on a deep dive on citric acid. Like, citric acid is lemon juice. In my mind, citric acid is lemon juice. It is also the byproduct of microbial fermentation of any kind of carbohydrate in just the right environment makes citric acid. Okay. There's an entire science behind that right now. Pfizer, Pfizer was a food company before they were a pharmaceutical company, and they made their fortune making citric acid. I don't know if you knew that. And their cabal was this. They went into business with Carhartt, the industrial agricultural company, and they put their chemical company in the middle of a cornfield. And so they were promoting the growth of corn. The corn went straight to the chemical company, and they were fermenting it. And they had like a worldwide monopoly on citric acid. As time went on, they found they could make the most citric acid by using a fungus called Aspergillus niger. And a lot of people are allergic to Aspergillus. And so all the citric acid that is on the market right now is made by Aspergillus, a mold. And that citric acid, you cannot remove all the antigens of the mold. So now we're talking about a company that is using microbiology, which we use. There's nothing wrong with that. But they genetically engineer this Aspergillus mold to make tons and tons of citric acid from corn that's grown in a wheat field or in a field that's been sprayed with Roundup and whatnot. So you got all the chemistry going in there. And when they put that in your organic whatever that calls for citric acid, they don't have to tell you about that process. And if you're allergic to mold, as I am, you may find yourself with some serious responses to your food, and you cannot figure out where it's coming from. Where the hell is it coming from? It's coming from the citric acid that they're putting in everywhere, and yet it's not identified as the source. This is just one of the many things that goes on in the background. Behind the scenes, all cheese, including organic cheese, uses a genetically engineered enzyme called rennet, made by Pfizer, again made by this Aspergillus niger, which a lot of people are allergic to. So there's a lot of chemistry that goes on in the food industry, add a little bit of, interestingly enough, the pharmaceutical industry and big agricultural industry. These three things truly are tied. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is known fact. Now, there is also, and this is kind of frightening to me, and as someone who's pro-life, it bothers me, but there is an aborted fetal cell line that they have isolated just the taste buds of. And so they expose all these different flavors to fetal tongues, baby tongues. Mm-hmm. That doesn't just, to see what's the most sour, what's the most sweet, what's the most whatever. And they don't tell you that that's how they got the flavor either. And they literally will run water, Dasani water. They use this taste bud company to make sure they have just the right neutral. Is there just enough salt in that, just enough pH in that to make baby taste buds happy? And if baby taste buds are happy, then it gets the green check mark. And they don't have to do.
So how do they do that? How do they get that signal? And then
There's apparently when a taste bud fires, it leaves a particular like genetic or a particular chemistry marker that they can track.
Right.
They can see that bud firing. And so they just get the most fire off on the bud to know, okay, that's the sweetest we can possibly make it. And so they don't have to have the blinded taste study. Remember the Coke versus Pepsi commercials?
Yeah.
Right? They don't have to do that. They don't have to do that anymore. They have this tissue culture in front of them that has the sweet, the sour, the umami. I mean, like name it, the bitter,
right.
And the
basically, I mean, if you've seen
the tongue,
right, and your tongue has all these different spots,
right?
From a
and so they make sure that they remove all of the bitter, right? So American processing removes all, and I'll tell you why that's important, but they remove all the bitter and then they max out your sweet and your sour, let's say, and then boom, now they have a product and they already know that it max impacts your taste buds. The problem is, and what most people don't recognize, is that those taste buds are not just in your tongue. They line all of the tissues of your body. This is how your body knows what you've just consumed and can coordinate things like insulin and whatnot. Like there's a reason NutraSweet, which has 0 calories, causes an insulin spike.
Right.
It shouldn't. It's got no calories.
Right.
It shouldn't. But it max spikes the sweetness.
Yeah.
And that sweet taste receptor is actually all over your GI tract.
Right.
So anytime it gets fired off, insulin gets fired off. So when you're max stimulating these receptors, your body gets woefully confused. The other issue is the GI tract in particular coordinates itself. It coordinates acid in the gallbladder and the squeezing of the small intestine because of something called the bitter taste. So digestive bitters start the digestive process and help your body coordinate that. So if you're consuming things that you really don't have to chew very well, they just kind of slide down the hatch, max sweet, max sour, stimulating all the insulin receptors, no bitter. So you're not making stomach acid, you're not coordinating the bile. You're really screwing up people's GI tracts. They're gratefully overeating. They all have IBS and digestive issues. And this is the work of chemistry. It is the work of chemistry, and I will.
Glad you didn't go that way.
Oh my God, I was almost like the evil genius. Whoa, in the lab. And, of course, and right now they always say they're trying to feed the hungry. It's all world hunger that has led to all these different reasons we're doing in chemistry experiments. And now they're making what they call slab meat, tissue culture chicken and tissue culture salmon. I don't know if you've seen that. They now have fake butter that is literally petroleum engineering. They use the petroleum products to engineer out the stearic acid that is the most prominent acid in butter. And they've vatted in there with some colors and some flavors, and they call it butter. And they tell you that it is butter. It's butter. It's nothing but butter. Except all the processes that you had to get to make it butter. You don't think there's any of that in this butter? I mean, so it has to stop, Rob. I am glad you and I are talking today about that is the problem. That is the chemistry that's going on. They're going to tell you it's better for you. It's better for your cholesterol. It's better for the environment. It's low sugar, so there's no calories. So if you want to lose weight, you got to do that. That's all the marketing that goes into it. And then there's the other fun marketing, opening the can, listening to the cereal pop. I mean, my daughter says that's called acoustic engineering, sonic marketing and acoustic engineering. They are coming up with the coolest imaginable crunch sound and what is all part of the sensation.
Right? What does everyone like to do with the Pringles can? Oh, let me open it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with like so your set of tennis balls, right?
I
Nothing
love
better than
that.
popping that.
Every tennis player alive, when they hear that tennis can pop open, they are ready to rumble. Like that tells you game on.
It's like
It's about to get real.
it's like the puck drop.
Rock and load. Yeah, I mean it's like being in a car and you have to pee. There's no gas station, and a commercial comes on about a river or running water or it's raining outside. It just makes you have to pee more. This is just known. Like you hear something and it just triggers a let's go. And unfortunately, when you're combining that with all of the positive rewards that you get from eating processed foods, the taste, the smell, the sound, it melts in your mouth. There's really no effort to it.
Right.
And then to get to the microbiome part of it, all these processed foods promote the wrong bacteria. And those bacteria really give you a positive dopamine rush, a serotonin rush. When you consume processed food, you get this rush. And so
You want to go back for more. Of course you do.
right. And this is one of the things that I recognized when I was running the med spa and we're trying to get people to lose weight. And a lot of them will say, I'm hypoglycemic. I'm hypoglycemic, to the point was like, are really people that hypo? That doesn't even make how much hypoglycemia is in the world. You put an a blood sugar monitor on. These people are not hypoglycemic.
No.
So what? Yeah. So what signal are they getting? They are getting a withdrawal of serotonin. The bad back. You eat a carbohydrate, a processed food. Your microbiome is going to make a ton of serotonin. That there, it's okay, right? This is why This is why you were at the hockey bells when you broke up with your boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you're under stress, you've worked late, the boss is an asshole, you broke up with your boyfriend, like you want ice cream or some kind of sweet. You don't ever crave broccoli. That's not what you're craving. And the reason is when you eat that stuff, there's a series of bacteria that give you serotonin. It's a natural Prozac you're getting from the bacteria. So when that serotonin runs dry, you get a crash and now you're depressed and now you're like, you're anxious and you're looking for it.
And
You're
another
educated.
drive-through, and you're going, okay.
Looking for another drive-through. You can't. Yes. So you're being manipulated between the chemicals that scientists have put in your food on purpose so that you buy more, and the microbiome, which is just doing what the microbiome does. But when you're living in a world of processed food, you've got a lot more of those guys than you do the good guys. The good guys actually thrive in the world of broccoli, right? So the good guys want protein. They want the veggies. They want the fruit. The bad guys want sugar and fat combined in a processed food.
Yeah, I
And
went
so
by the broccoli drive-through. I went by the asparagus drive-through. I stopped, even from your fruits, right?
Yeah.
All those lines were empty.
All those lines are indeed empty. So it's
McDonald's, they were
right.
out to the street.
Exactly. And so this constant desire for food has been labeled food noise. Food. You're constantly thinking about food. Give me the next meal. And if you've ever been hungry, there's always a commercial on TV, and there's always food around you, and it's so readily accessible. And you're constantly upset.
When are the pizza ads going on? And when are the 10:00 at night? Oh, we could order a pizza. They've still got 2 more hours.
Or we order a pizza.
Right?
Yeah.
Order pizza. Uber Eats,
Exactly.
DoorDash.
So here you are. You're trying to lose weight, and you cannot lose weight. Why? Because food noise. All right. Well, now, interesting you should say that the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry are tied, because here come the manufacturers of Ozempic and Mounjaro and whatnot. These are all pharmaceutical industry people, and their marketing is what? We get rid of the food noise, right? So you've got Nabisco creating food noise, and then you've got, whoever, Eli Lilly or whoever it is, taking away.
It's the exact same. You have Escort, who sells the radar detectors and they also make the radar guns.
100%.
And they go, and this is the fastest. And then they go to the police and go, and this is the fastest. And you're going to catch them with it, right? They'll get you on both ends.
They get you on both ends, man. And that's the key to marketing, right? I mean, if you can capture 100% of the audience coming and going, I mean, you're maxing things out, which is why they're starting to reach now into the children. The American College of Pediatrics. Now, first line of therapy for an obese child is now Ozempic and Mounjaro. It's no longer diet and exercise. You reach straight for the GLP-1s. And so food noise is an issue. And truly, those medications shut down the GI system. So there is no food noise. You have nausea. And when you're nausea, that overrides any sort of microbiome situation. So so those medicines are very effective in turning off that signal. Why? Because nausea, you don't eat. When you don't eat, that population of bacteria naturally dies. And when that population naturally dies, then all of a sudden you don't have food noise.
Right.
Simple. So if you could just get from the time I changed my diet from a clean diet to everybody, all the bad guys are dead, and it's just me and my good bacteria, that's that 2-week window that most people fail diet in that 2-week window. If you could get through that 2-week window without the $1,000 a month medication, wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, amazing. So what is the, and if you go, hey, I'm going to start eating clean on Sunday. Okay. My last bad meal is going to be Saturday night.
Yes.
I'm going all in. What is that? How long do I got to get through it?
It's probably 2 to 4 weeks. I'll be honest. So most good, clean diets start from scratches are 28 days at a minimum. And some of them are as long as 3 months because it can take up to 3 months to develop a habit. So
right. So you got to get through that. First, you got to get through the bad bacteria, right? That has to kill.
2 weeks. That is at least 2 weeks because you've got to get that combination of bacteria to calm the hell down. That way your body gets accustomed to a more normal level of serotonin. So instead of living in the world of high dopamine, high serotonin, and you're getting both of those hits from the microbiome and processed food, you got to let all those guys die. That way, when you eat, you're not looking for that pop.
So I follow you guys with Mark McDonald and your Zybe 7. Is this going to help me get there faster? Or just be more?
It does help. It actually does help for a couple reasons because that number one has the digestive bitters in it to coordinate the intestinal tract. First thing.
So that's you actually have some real bitters. You didn't get rid of them.
Right. You're adding the bitter back into your life. Okay. So that's important. You want to do that before a meal. The digestive enzymes help break down the foods for you so that you can present kind of the full spectrum of complex carbohydrates and amino acids to the entirety of the microbiome, not just simple sugars and oils that just hit that target narrow. So when you're eating, you can kind of feed everybody. And then you're adding probiotics of the lactobacillus species mostly, and there's a bacillus in there, Bacillus coagulans. And so those will help kind of crowd out the bad guys. So that's step one of your life as going on back onto the wagon is it's clean diets to stay away from the processed food. And Zybe 7 before.
Throw this in because you have everything against you. This is on the good guy side.
That's the good guy side. We're trying to promote. You're trying to promote the good guy.
Is like a short shelf.
Right.
It's like aisles and aisles.
Yes. Correct. So we want to do everything we can on the side of the good guy and then try to minimize that length of time the bad guy is pissed off because it's not getting fed. So, and it is important to know. And I tell people that there's no such thing as willpower. A lot of people feel guilty about their dietary failures because they feel like they failed. There is no such thing as willpower, right? So put that out of your mind. There's decision making, and your decision making ability gets worse as the day goes on, the more decisions you have to make. So again, in the med spa, when we were teaching people kind of how to get back on the wagon and not fall off the wagon, is to pre-plan your day as down to the clothes you wear, what you're going to do, what you're going to cook, bring it pre-prep, all that kind of stuff is on purpose so you don't have to make a decision. When you are forced with a decision, especially towards the end of the day, if you have had to decide all of these things, your decision is going to be donut every friggin' time. I am sorry. It's going to be donut every time, period. And then your microbiome says, yes. Thank you, mommy.
Right?
Thank you, mommy. So
You're warning me.
right. So I'm telling people, don't feel guilty about the willpower thing. That's not willpower. That's decision making that has met its natural length of endeavor, right? So as you run out of your ability to critically think because you're tired,
Yep.
you are going to make a bad decision, right? In the operating room, we do everything the same way every time. That way, you're on a 14-hour case. If you're presented with this, you don't have to think. There's no thinking because I've been there, done that. I've got everything laid out in case that's what happens. I don't want to make a decision 14 hours into a surgery. You don't want to make 14 hours into your day a decision about donut versus, salmon.
The same thing with the military, right? They try to drill it to the point where you don't have to make a decision because it's actually already been built in.
Correct. And again, this has nothing to do with willpower. It's about decision making when you're tired. And so decision making notoriously is bad when you're tired. Now, if you also have the constant nag of, oh, I'm hypoglycemic and I got to have some carbohydrates and whatnot. If that is nagging at you as you get tired, you are going to succumb to that. Day 3, you will fail. It's pretty much, that's kind of what's going to happen, So we want to shut off that noise. The Zyve 7 helps shorten how many weeks worth of that noise there is to make life a little bit easier, but you're still going to have sort of this food noise.
You're gonna have the brain noise, right?
You're gonna have the brain noise, and this is why, of course, super patch is one of the things that you and I talk about because the brain is in charge of a lot of that. The microbiome is telling your brain what to do, and I am urging people to not make your decisions based on single cellular organisms that have no intellect. Right? You are.
Who's gonna win?
Yeah, you can win. You're the apex predator of all of the earth.
We should come out with a little microbiome, little kit, like a little stuffed little animal of the different shapes. You can blow them up and you can make them look cute, and then we just go, hey, who's gonna win? Good guy.
Who's gonna win? Yeah, exactly. Good guy, bad guy. They do have to be in a balance. You need some of the guys who are behaving badly. You actually need a little bit of. You just don't need a lot of.
Right.
And most of us are so preemptively feeding them. We've got too much. And there's a lot of debate in the psychiatric literature that people are not deprived of serotonin and dopamine. This is not why they have anxiety, depression, and that sort of thing. They're actually living in a world of too much serotonin. In the presence of too much serotonin, the nerves downregulate the serotonin receptors.
Right.
So now it feels like you have a relative lowering of the serotonin just to calm, because the brain's like, freaking stop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So your brain does have a way to downregulate, and your brain has a way of talking to the microbiome. You can control the microbiome from your brain. It's a two-way highway. It doesn't just go one way. So enter super patch, where we can manipulate some of these pathways that lead to food noise with a combination of super patches. And the one that I used to always use for people who are first starting out, who have a habit Like, I didn't even think about it. I went straight to my refrigerator. I pulled out the Diet Dr. Pepper and I cracked it open and had it halfway down the hatch when I realized, holy shit, I shouldn't have done that.
I
So
have someone in my office like that.
Right. Oh, do I know this person? Okay. This is a habit and you're not even thinking about it. If you're a habitual eater, like, why did I just have a handful of peanuts? Why did I stop by the doctor's lounge and eat 3 pieces of bacon this morning when I just had breakfast at home? Like, none of that makes sense. If it is a habit, you can reprogram this habit with something called the Kick It patch. And so I do suggest anybody who's trying to improve their lives, get rid of a bad habit, do at least 1 to 3 months worth of Kick It. Yeah, that one right there.
Boom.
So that's just to kind of stop I'm not even thinking about it. This is like breathing. This is my 300 calories worth of a Coca-Cola in the morning for breakfast. Why did I even do it? I wasn't hungry. I wasn't feeling like the sugar shakes. Nothing.
Why do people vape?
Cigarette smoking.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things.
They like, I didn't even want it. I didn't even need it. I didn't desire it. But
They just get used to this, and the next thing they know, it's attached to a cigarette. So the Kick It can be extremely, extremely effective. Now, and we also know, Rob, I think you and I have both talked about the Ignite patch, which improves your metabolism. So here it is. We're trying to go back on the wagon. We're trying to burn some calories. And so the Ignite patch, if you can wear it 24 hours a day, try to. I have some patients who are like, I think it's keeping me from being able to sleep because it's burning metabolism. Like, your metabolism is going, even when you're sitting in a chair, talking on a podcast, or laying down. If it doesn't keep you up at night, I highly suggest it. Okay. And if you need to offset that, maybe with a little REM patch or something, but you want to wear it as much as you can. Okay. You want to wear it as much as you can. Now, when it comes to communicating between the gut-brain axis, the brain and the gut, they do communicate. The conduit through which they communicate is called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve, it's an interesting nerve. It's the longest nerve in your body. It's the 10th cranial nerve. Now, we don't have the studies yet that show that any super patch transduces its way all the way down this nerve. We do not know that at all. But what I do know is that where that nerve inserts into the brain is a part of the brain that is normalized in function by a Liberty patch. So this is why the founder of Super Patch says, listen, if you have a medical ailment, always start with the Liberty patch. He's saying that because that's the core of your brain, the central brainstem, the medulla of your brain gets highly stimulated by this Liberty patch and gets put into a neutral zone for better function. Liberty patch also helps balance, so it kicks back a little bit to the cerebellum where you have balance. But the vagus nerve, this most important nerve, comes off of the brain right there. And if the origin of the nerve is being bathed in a part of the brain that is now functioning normally, it stands to reason that it is helping normalize some of this function. I don't know exactly what that would be. We don't know the mechanism of that. We don't have the studies yet. However, from an observational standpoint, people who are wearing this Liberty patch tend to improve some very basic physiologic functions, like some IBS symptoms and some anxiety symptoms and some blood pressure issues. I would never use it instead of a medication for these things. I'm not saying that, but we can observe
in conjunction with me.
We can observe an improvement in basic function with a Liberty patch. Now, one of the other things that the brain is responsible for, and it does use vagus nerve for part of this, is blood flow, circulation, and immunity, and that's the Defend patch. And my secretary, whose desk I am sitting at and I'm touching everything, is home sick today with COVID. So as it turns out, on my right cheeky buns, I am wearing
extra washy.
Right, yes, extra washing. And I am wearing a Defend patch. I'm wearing a Liberty patch. I'm wearing a Peace patch because I don't go anywhere without it. And because I want to control sort of or optimize my immunity when I get on an airplane. If I have to sit still for a long time, don't want to get a blood clot, don't want to get sick from all the people around me, I do wear this Defend patch. The trials on Defend patch are pending right now. They have observational studies only. Okay, but those observational studies are reasonably valid. They can show that the blood doesn't clot as much and whatnot. As it turns out, Rob, and the reason I mentioned all these in that particular order is, and I'll tell you a little bit of a story. My brother sends me an article about the microbiome talking to the brain, so he knows I'm going to read it, about in particular food noise. Okay. And in that article, again, this is known science. Dr. Anna did not make any of this up, but the microbiome talks to the brain. We just talked about that. Food noise. And then, of course, it gets into the, oh, you should do Ozempic, but Ozempic has a lot of side effects. So you can recreate the Ozempic effect of shutting down food noise by doing intermittent fasting. It takes a month to get there. And of course, if you know Mark McDonald, he's going to say, Anna, intermittent fasting, people are going to be hungry. They're going to overeat. They're not going to chew. It's going to cause IBS issues. It tends to fail in people who are not particularly disciplined. Right. So for that reason, I don't always advocate the intermittent fasting unless you really are a strict disciplinarian about it. Most people are not. People tend to eat all the bacon they can eat. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that and lose weight at the same time. So I text Jay Dollywall, CEO of Super Patch. I said, Jay, you got to help me out, because truly, this food noise issue has been such a successful marketing campaign with Ozempic. It is now something I get asked about. People use that as the reason to get the Ozempic. They know it's like whoever coined food noise, freaking geniuses, right? Geniuses, they nailed it. I said, Jay, help me out. You got to create a patch for food noise. Click, and I send it. He sends me something back. He goes, what are you talking about? You just add Liberty, Defend, and Ignite.
Right.
Yeah, within 15 minutes, no food noise. I was like, where was this? I have known you for 2 years. Where was this information? Right. You know I'm on a med spa.
Did you know that? Did you know that you are?
Yeah. What the hell? I was like, bro, I need this information. And he's like, Broina, you got it. He goes, in fact, they are getting ready to do a marketing campaign with those 3 patches and food noise. I was like, I am in the know. I thought you liked me the best. I thought I was your favorite person. And you told the marketing team this before you told me? What? And then I did ask his permission. Can I share this in public? He goes, yeah, share away. This is known. Like, this is an observational thing. I don't know what the data is. I know he is confident enough in what he's observed with the EKG, with the EEGs and people demeanor, that those 3 patches, 15 minutes, Ozempic brain, that's what you get. I mean,
hey.
And those 3 patches, if you have an auto ship to your house, those 3 patches are going to run you, what, $150 maybe, as opposed to $1,500 for the Ozempic? No, less, right? Yep. So, and there's no permanent paralysis of the intestines or blindness or losing heart muscle or losing bone mass. I'm trying to think of all the things that most people on Ozempic suffer from. And there's none of that. When the people who are selling Ozempic talk about its benefits to the microbiome, Ozempic didn't cause that benefit. Eating more properly, fasting is what caused that benefit.
Right.
So Ozempic makes you
nauseous.
Causes fasting.
And
fasting improves the microbiome. This is one of the reasons why people will suggest intermittent fasting, because this fasting period does help the microbiome. The constant eating.
gets rid
Yes.
of the bad.
Correct. The problem is
dies off.
yes. And now you've got balance. The problem is if you go from gut inflammation, processed food to intermittent fasting, and you're still doing processed food, you're not really killing off the microbiome. You're not going to lose any weight. You're still going to be hungry all day long. Doesn't help your food noise. Like this will be a failure to you. So if you want to succeed, and you can, just understand chemistry got you into this mess. And believe me, the industry knew what they were doing. They are working together with the pharmaceutical industry, and they know what you're doing. And hell, Pfizer is the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry in the same building. By the way, I did not know that personally until just a few weeks ago. So that's happening to you. And now that you know that, the answer is stay away from processed food, eat clean. Before you eat a meal, you're going to want to do the Zyve 7. Why? Because it's going to help promote a healthy gut. And while you're doing that and you're struggling because you've got the noise, slap the patches on to get rid of that food noise. That way you can be successful. In the process of doing that, you will normalize your microbiome because the microbiome likes the veggies. They like smaller meals and the veggies and the broken down food. The microbiome likes bile in it.
They want to work. They got to work.
They want to work.
They work.
They want to work. And if I can give more motivation, one last little tidbit of motivation. I know I'm talking a lot and I apologize, but there is another in the audience watching. If they're trying to lose weight, they've seen these commercials. Okay. Where they talk about a particular bacteria called Akkermansia muciniphila. And I don't know if you've heard that one. This is an obligatory anaerobic organism. Now, I have a master's degree and my research was on an obligate anaerobic organism. They're very hard to keep alive because oxygen kills it. Any oxygen tension at all kills it. So they cannot be exposed to the open air, which means that when you are paying $100 a month for that bacteria to live within a capsule, if it doesn't open up in the middle of your colon, you have just wasted. It's all gone.
Gone. Because it took it
Gone.
out.
Yes, it's and it's gone.
It's anaerobic.
Yeah, it's like check, and it's gone. Okay, so the other thing,
It's like
let's
me
say
at the poker table. And
it's gone. Yeah, there goes your auntie, and it's gone. And so, but the other issue is, what if it does open up in just the right spot? Because the company says the way it's manufactured, and it's the way it's kind of bundled in there. I don't want to say the words, but anyway, it breaks up and it doesn't break open until it's in the right spot. Okay, let's pretend it does that. The name of the bacteria is Akkermansia muciniphila. It lives in the mucus lining of the intestinal tract. That mucus lining only exists in the absence of inflammation and in the presence of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. These are good guy bacteria.
Right.
So if you don't have, you got to have those. So you don't want inflammation. You got to have lactobacillus.
How is everyone? Many members.
Everybody has.
Some
Right?
sort.
Everyone has. So if you're spending $100 a month on that probiotic, and even if it opens where they say that it opens, and good for them, that's again chemistry, but all right. The odds of it setting up shop are so small in the normal American, eating the normal American diet, and it is simply because of inflammation. And so I use the example of Lululemon. You've heard me talk about Lululemon, right? If you want to know where the best part of town is, look for the Lululemon. It's right next to the Neiman Marcus. And you have shown me exactly how high dollar the Neiman Marcus is, right? So that's the best part of town. You're not going to put a Lululemon next to the liquor store and the pawn shop. Like, that's not where Lululemon goes. Right. So Akkermansia is your Lululemon. You don't put in all the Lululemons and then decide to have rich people move in. That's not how it works. The rich people need to be there. The lawns need to be clipped. The roads need to be clean, high trust, fancy cars, big houses. Then Lululemon comes in and goes, okay, this is a neighborhood I can trust. I'm going to set up shop right here. That's how the GI tract works. You got to set up shop first before the Lululemon moves in. And so there's no point in spending $100 a month on all of that. You've got,
because you got a 1% chance on whatever their percentage is, right? I mean, they're you need the perfect storm.
You need the perfect storm. If you're in the mood to spend $100, then you're going to buy some Zyve and some super patches, and you will make your own Akkermansia that will stay around. And you need to have that Akkermansia mucinophilia to lose weight, by the way. You could be doing everything right. You could be doing everything fine. If the weight's not coming off of you, it's because you're missing this bacteria. That's why they're getting you to buy it. So the last little hint I'm going to give people is that bacteria can only live when there's no inflammation, when there's lactobacillus, it's in Zyve 7, and when you have something called bifidobacterium, and there's something in our environment, some of it is the COVID vaccine, some of it is glyphosate, that's killing our natural bifidobacterium. You can grow bifidobacterium on its own by taking a very particular supplement called a human milk oligosaccharide. All it is the sugar that's commonly found in human milk. It's not made by human milk with human milk. This is just the sugar. It's like a 2-fucosiliose or something like that. It is a oligosaccharide that preferably bifidobacterium likes, and bifidobacterium will grow rapidly, like just rampantly, in the presence of this oligosaccharide. So if you're trying to lose weight and you can't, you can get a 2-fuco whatever supplement, $20 a month, maybe $30 a month at the max. You don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these fancy gimmicky things, but you do need to know the science. And until your bifidobacterium catches up, you'll need that supplement. At some point, it'll be there. You won't need it anymore, we think. We don't know. There's a possibility that COVID vaccines have made you immune to bifidobacterium, and you'll never allow it in your GI tract ever again. That is actually a possibility they're looking into. I will let you know if they come up with that answer. They seem to think you lose it when you take a COVID vaccine, which was almost all of us.
Right.
And if you can do all the things to regrow it, it's supposed to stay around, but that data hasn't been done yet. Does it actually stay, or does it die again because you're making antibodies to it? That's the question about the COVID vaccines. But anyway, so that was my last little tidbit, my last little hint.
That's it.
This is my treatise in GI health. Here it is.
All right. So have you tried this combo? Liberty.
No, I had to order the patches. I've got my Defend patches.
Okay.
I'm out of my Ignite. I've got a ton of Liberty patches, so I had to order some more Ignite because my husband needs to do it with me, and I don't buy enough for me to have for both of us. So I had to order a couple months for two people, my Ignites. And so when the Ignites come and they arrive tomorrow.
Okay.
I just had this conversation with Jay like 3 days ago. It's like, dude, wow. So I'm glad we're doing this. Please.
So I put it on like right before lunch.
Yeah.
And thank you for answering the question of I've got this very hint of nausea, and I thought that, oh, maybe my breakfast, or maybe my, I don't know, just
you got a something, Frank.
And
yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not really hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm not a foodie person, but I have zero desire. Like,
yes.
Really, I mean, it's so here you go. Yeah. I mean, I put the Defend, Liberty, and then the Ignite. And I said, oh, Billy's on here, and I would have not. If we didn't have this podcast, I just, would have been like,
food poisoning from the eggs.
I would have just ate something for breakfast. It didn't sit well with me.
Yeah. No, I'm excited about it because truly, my world is so chaotic, and there's always like little snack things around. That it is hard for me in the middle of clinic. Like, I mean, I've got a bag. I love pistachios.
I know what's behind that curtain. I know what's behind that curtain. And you have a couple of good things. You have some things that.
No. I've got some good things, but I got a ton of bad things. So literally, I cannot hang in my office, and even if I'm away from the front desk, I mean, and I'm by my desk, yes, I have beef jerky, and I've also got pistachios. There's like 10,000 calories worth of pistachios in a bag of pistachios. But when you're stressed and you got 2 seconds, it's down the hatch. Next thing I know, the entire bag is gone. There's no carbs in that. It is not processed. The calories. I had a week's worth of calories today in the form of pistachios. So, how am I going to lose weight? I can't lose weight. So I do need my Ignite patch to show up so I can do the combo. And so my husband and I are going to do it together.
So we're going to circle back. We're going to circle back in like 2 weeks and see.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, absolutely.
See where each other at. Because I'm going to do this.
Yes.
This whole, from the receptors and being able to in essence, stack the messaging to all of a sudden, and then to all of a sudden where my stomach is going, no.
Yeah, not today. Yeah, not today. So apparently the EEG of someone on Ozempic looks just like you right now. So there you go. Thank you, Jay Dollywall, for inventing that. So that's the messaging, and I am going to try it because I truly in earnest need to lose about 12 pounds. I got 20 pounds of steroid on me. I've lost 8, and that last 12, chowing on pistachios is not the way to get rid of that 12 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And I've been good. I've been good about no processed food, and I've been good about like no sugar and that sort of thing. But again, pistachios, you know what I'm saying? So I've got to super patch it up. That's what has to happen.
We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.